Ted, welcome to the Red Book Podcast number 6. I'm here today with Jeff Garrett and Ted Ancher, who is the director of Numismatics at APMEX. So, Ted, it's just awesome to have you on board today and joining us. We have a lot of big questions for you and to learn about what's going on at one of the biggest retailers of coins in the world. And this is going to be really a lot of fun. So, why don't we just start out really quick if you'll tell us what you do over at APMEX?
So APMEX has been around for about 25 years. We're primarily a bullion house, but we do dabble in the numismatic. I've been here for about 17 years. I'll be celebrating my 17th anniversary next month, actually.
Wow.
I kind of worked my way up through the system, kind of started with large cents, half cents, Lincoln cents, all that kind of stuff as a collector when I was much younger, had a paper route. And then just kind of kept with the coins throughout my high school years, my college years, and then I decided to just apply for a job here at APMEX when I was 23 years old. Traveled halfway across the country from Boston and have basically set out roots here in Oklahoma and have just kind of worked my way up through the company. I started dealing with large cents and Lincoln cents and copper, moved into nickels, basically as the company needed. I kind of morphed into whatever they needed me. I remember for a period of time there, we weren't even doing rare coins. The precious metals market was just so hot back in 2008, 2009 when I first started that the owner just decided, hey, you know what, we're going to cut the cord on numismatics. We're going to go full blown bullion. And I said, well, you just hired me. Like, what do you want me to do? And he says, well, you can learn other things about the bullion business or whatever. So I ended up picking up a lot of modern US product lines, for in particular the 5-ounce ATB series back in 2010 when those started, that bullion series, plus they came out with the box and COA. I was managing a lot of bullion items from across the pond. I managed the Austrian Mint account. I managed one of the PAMP Swiss accounts. So I got a pretty good understanding of the bullion market in that 3 to 4 year period when we kind of cut the cord on numismatics, and then they decided to bring numismatics back in like 2014 or 2015, and I've been up until about 2021 I was sort of quasi managing the numismatic department, which we have about 15 to 20 people in right now, half and half between another gentleman, and then eventually I just got into the director role about 3 or 4 years ago, and I still kind of manage the team. We obviously have everything is kind of split at APMEX. We have one guy that does silver dollars. We have another guy that does pre-33 gold. We have another guy that does
Yeah, I
nickels.
think it was funny. It was funny you said you dabble with the U.S. You got a staff of 15 dabbling in U.S. I
Yeah,
think you do a pretty serious dabble, if
yeah,
you ask
it
me.
is a
So
pretty serious dabble. When we go to the shows, we call feeding or we call filling the website feeding the beast. So
feeding
the
the
beast, and we bring about 4 to 6 people with us to every single major coin show, and it takes 4 to 6 people to feed the beast because we get back
right.
and there's a number of out of stocks that we're filling between 400 and 600 out of stocks at every single show we go to, no matter if it's a regional show, a buying trip, a large national show. We're constantly finding items to refill the website with.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I told John I wanted to try to have you on the shows because you guys have such a broad reach and everything from bullion to rare coins to ancient coins to everything that I think your finger is on the pulse of the market about as good as any one company that I know that we could talk to. Because I know if like things slow down in some area, you guys probably see it almost like in real time as much as any big company that I know that's doing it. And that's why I always enjoy talking to you because I'll ask you what's going on with the market and like you tell me something's either really hot or really like dead, then I know that you're doing that from experience. It's not like just intuition. So I think that's a really good part of what's good about your company.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you say that, Jeff, because about 3 to 4 weeks ahead of usually it's a major gold movement, we will see some
Right.
big fish come into the website. They'll either call us on the phone into our sales team or they'll hop on the website and they'll spend, $500 million, $2 million. And then about 3 to 4 weeks later, all of a sudden we see something happen, something shift in the market. And we're like, those people, they knew something. They knew something three to
It's
four weeks ahead of
it's
time.
Yeah, I mean, how do they know? I mean, what would, I mean, We're not. Are we talking about institutional? Are we talking about collectors? What kind of person's going to call APMEX and spend
They don't
five
even
hundred
call; they do it
thousand?
online, right? It's not even a call; it's
Yep.
like an online
They
order,
can
right?
do it online. They call ahead of time. Some of it's institutional, some of it's private. It's just a mix of both. And it's not every single time, but you do start to see
Sure.
trends, working here as long as I have. You're like, huh, it's interesting how every single time this happens, this also seems to happen, so on and so
Yeah, you
forth.
seem like you're reading the tea leaves occasionally,
Right.
so seeing what's going on. Well, I had breakfast with another coin dealer friend that's in town this week, and I mentioned to him today that gold broke $3,000, and you would think that'd be like national news, that like it would be like a big deal, but it's been kind of underreported in the mainstream media. But I'm sure it had an impact with you. What do you think about $3,000 gold? That's to me a really big milestone.
$3,000 gold is a massive milestone. I remember when I started, I think gold was 850. Never thought it would ever get to
Yeah.
1,000 or 2,000, and
Mhm.
now here we are talking 3,000, and it's just going up, up, and up. One of the things that we've noticed though is that, especially in bulk pre-33, is that it's been extremely popular just because the premiums are historically low. I mean, you can pretty much buy a BU Saint for under $100 in premium now. You could not even think about doing that 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, premiums were through the roof 3 or 4 years ago. So we've done an extremely good business with bulk pre 33. Again, it's sort of a bullion based business, but it kind of gets people's toes wet, so to speak, if they're just getting into precious metals.
Yeah. Do you think some people buy the pre-33 gold because they hear about, oh, they might confiscate gold, and you gotta, I hear people talk about that. I don't know if you see that in reality sometimes, or what's your thoughts on that whole proposition?
We typically don't like to talk about that, especially on the phones. I mean, there are people that call up onto our sales line and they want to talk about confiscation and pre-33 gold. And although that has happened in the past, the likelihood of that happening ever again is very remote, especially with the political climate that we have going on today and just the state of the world. The world was a lot smaller back in 1933 when
Yeah.
FDR had to make that executive order. So I don't see that happen again, but I think that people feel comfort in knowing that they have sort of a collectible rather than a 1 ounce gold coin like a Krugerrand or a Gold Eagle or a Maple or
Still a
whatever.
little bit of, yeah, still a little bit of a reason they do part of it.
Exactly.
Do you find that collectors of pre-33 gold at these tight margins, are they interested in certified gold, or are they comfortable with the APMEX? I don't know how you do it. You sonically seal a coin in a flip. Because the premium of getting some gold shipped and certified, if with no premium, obviously the premium's an issue with the cost, but the time that it takes to get it done. How do people want to get those coins from you when they're buying gold?
What our customers typically don't really care about the slabbing. I think they're mainly after the premium. So as low as you could possibly get. We authenticate it here. We back every single coin that we sell. So if we accidentally sell you a bad coin, of course you return it and we'll make it good. But yeah, I mean, the slab market isn't really any better than the raw market. I would say that the raw market is actually much stronger than the slab market just because you don't have that
Interesting.
extra premium attached because you do have the grading fees that people need to recoup when they do have
I
those
was,
slabs.
yeah, I was looking yesterday. I bought some double eagles across the counter, and I was looking at my St. Gaudens. There was like 10 or 15 of them, and basically, unless the coin has a shot to grade 65, I can't really send it in. But to spend the $30 or so that it costs to grade, because I think MS64 Saints don't sell for much. They don't. I don't premium
Not
back. So
anymore. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and that's like a coin that's like that's a. It used to be like you look at 61s and twos, but now even MS64 is not worth sending in. So it's really changed on that. So those will become actually more scarce in the marketplace because their production obviously will probably reduce a lot.
Yep.
I just want to emphasize the importance of people who view this podcast to know that you can't just buy raw gold coins from just anyone on the internet, because most of the time they're going to be counterfeits are everywhere. To the untrained eye, you're not going to know, and a trained eye honestly can't always tell a counterfeit gold coin. So dealing with a company like APMEX, very credible companies, and you can know who they are. Don't take chances. Don't try to save a few dollars on silver eagles. The biggest tell in the world is if a silver eagle is being sold. Silver's around $33 an ounce, and if a coin is being sold below melt, it's probably a counterfeit coin. And the crooks are getting better because they used to sell them for $5. and then you knew that it was too good to be true. But now if they sell it for $29, you think, oh, I'm getting a deal. There are no deals because Ted will buy those coins from anybody at melt. So therefore, why would you work on the internet and try to sell to people if APMEX is going to buy them from you? So that's why please be careful when you buy raw coins or even certified coins to deal only with reputable dealers.
Yeah, you
like
got to
APMEX.
make sure you got to make sure that you're comfortable that if you're unhappy for any reason, you can get a refund on a purchase. If you buy something on some of these websites, you can't return it. So that's
Right.
really important. Speaking of that, I was going to ask you. So with gold at $3,000, I know in my business here, we're having a lot more people selling stuff than buying stuff. Are you getting a lot of people? Because every APMEX customer you have now is in a profit position, so they're all probably some people are wanting to cash out, I think.
We have people cashing out literally every day. We've had record-breaking weeks. We've had record-breaking months over the last 3 to 4 months. I mean, pretty much since August, September of last year. So 2024 heading into 2025. Here we are in March of 25. The last 6 months have been unbelievably incredible in terms of what we call retail buyback. We're getting so much stuff in, not just on the bullion side, but we have people who are genuine collectors who are cashing in, potentially cashing in to buy gold or buy silver or buy real estate or whatever it is they're putting their money into. But obviously the economic climate is changing, political climate is changing, and I think people are positioning themselves for whatever's, to come in the future here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, when markets move, it does create activity. Stagnant markets are the worst thing for coin dealers. We love things when up or down even, that can create that creates activities. Whatever threshold it is, breaking it, that'll get their attention. And unfortunately, we're not getting as much national media. I think if it was more in the news, it would be even more because I remember when gold was $850 in 1979, you come to work and there'd be 50 people lined up to sell you stuff. So there will be more of awareness, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
But looking at also I was thinking about, curious on your website, what are some of the most popular products that people buy? I know you said pre-33 gold, but in silver, do you sell silver eagles, bars? What's the most popular thing on your website?
Silver eagles are extremely popular on the website. We can't keep those in stock. Just regular 1 ounce buffalo rounds. Those are very, very popular on our website. Again, the lower the premium that you can get, the more popular it is. Outside of, I would say, like super, super generic. But if it comes in a bar form or a coin form or round form, I should say, it's extremely popular if the premium is low. So usually when we're running deals on $1.99 over or 49 cents over, customers typically don't have a preference when it comes to premium. As long as the premium is low, they don't really care what they're buying. But silver eagles have always been popular. The buffaloes, like I said, have been popular. And in terms of the gold side, gold eagles are always popular. Premiums have actually come up a little bit in the last couple of weeks on gold eagles. I remember about a month ago, 2 months ago, we were paying pretty much melt or back of melt on gold eagles, and now we're able to pay a little bit more than melt on certain issues. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and say everything, but I know that market has come back a little bit in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I know when I talked to you, when I saw you like in Berlin, John, and we were all go to the Berlin show, and it's kind of fun to see like what the modern mints are doing and all these modern issues. And, those are kind of dependent on a premium market. And are you seeing those kind of getting affected, the sales on all of that modern stuff?
Yeah, all the modern stuff with super high premiums, that stuff is not moving right now. It's very, very tough to move. It's pretty much the low premium game is getting people in the door and keeping people on the website. Obviously, you're going to have your group of people that are interested in the higher premium collectible stuff, but right now that's kind of passe considering what silver's doing at 12 or 13 year highs and gold at all-time highs. So people are more concentrated
That's
on.
what I know. You see it on your website because sometimes that things would be strong or people would like those things with the stories and stuff. But right now it's just everyone's like a rush to low premium bullion because people are. If someone wants to invest in gold or silver just as an investment, they're wanting to get into it the lowest entry point.
Yeah, I think one of the things that makes APMEX so successful is that we really pay attention to the market. And what I mean by that is that, we're not looking at the numbers once a year or twice a year. We're looking at the numbers literally on a daily basis. We're looking at the numbers on a weekly basis, from a 30,000 foot view and saying, okay, what sold really, really well last week? Was it low premium items? Was it C&E, which is customs and exclusive, which is like, more of that modern product that I was talking about? What is it? Is it selling? And so we'll try to tailor, the next couple of weeks to what we think where the market is going. So if we think the market is going to continue going up with gold, we're trying to think of more low premium items that are going to be selling, or what could potentially be lowered in premium within the market. Has it bottomed out yet? Is there an extra $20 to be gained, from gold or whatever exactly. So we do this on a daily basis, weekly basis, and just trying to keep our finger on the pulse of the market.
Yeah. How are you finding the classic coin market then? So if you're getting huge traffic on what I would suspect is low margin bullion, and I'm hearing from dealers that aren't in that sector of the business, let's say, who are doing an incredible business in collector coins. The economy doesn't mean anything to this group of people. Right now, coins under $1,000 made in 19th century, early 20th century coinage, I'm hearing is pretty red hot.
You are right on the money. It's unbelievable. Our CEO, he doesn't like to give up the goods too much, but every once in a while he'll give the numismatic team a little wink and say, you're doing a really good job, because the bullion market is, I wouldn't say, it's hard to say that the bullion market is struggling when you have $3,000 gold and $33 silver, but in terms of struggling, if you really look at it, we're not selling near the amount of ounces, because at $3,000 an ounce, you can't sell that many ounces. At $1,500 an ounce, you can sell way more. You can sell double the amount of ounces. But
I got lots of people asking, how's $3,000 gold affecting? I mean, if you collect double eagles, it's like a really uphill battle now. Who's collecting double eagles? It's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for any coin. So it's really makes it almost a rich man's game, just to collect double eagles.
Exactly. So to your point, John, the numismatic team has done an amazing job in terms of how healthy the numismatic market is. This is the healthiest we've ever seen it on the APMEX.com website. Obviously, we have
That's big.
major boom during
That's
COVID.
awesome.
I mean, 2020, 2021, 22, unbelievable years just because we went through the COVID years. But in terms of coming down from the COVID highs, I think there's a phrase out there, you take the elevator up and you take the stairs down. We're definitely taking the stairs down. I mean, it's definitely a slow walk back down to kind of where the old levels were. And I don't know if we'll ever get down back to 2018, 2019 pre-COVID levels in terms of the rare coin market. But in terms of how we're doing in the numismatic space, it's a very, very healthy part of the market for
I'm
us.
glad to see that. Changing pace a little bit on talking about, there's been a lot of consolidation in the coin business lately, like hedge funds buying the grading services, for instance. From what I understand, a Swiss company bought a majority share of APMEX a couple of years ago. Tell us about that, and if that has changed much with you guys, or how you see consolidation affecting the coin business.
Yeah, in September of 2023, PAMP Swiss bought a large majority stake in APMEX. Nothing has really changed that much on our end. We're pushing a few more PAMP products than we were beforehand. But in terms of the acquisition, they basically came to us and they said, you run a really, really fantastic business. We don't really want to change what you're doing. We want to make sure that you keep doing what you're doing, keep growing, keep coming up with ideas. You've got so many things going on for you. You've got the 9 Fine Mint. You've got the bullion card, which is it's the only credit card in the entire industry that you can get paid back in gold. We've got One Gold, which is, sort of like ETFs. So we've got quite a good business going on outside of just the APMEX name itself.
Did they buy because they wanted to have your retail? It was like the PAMP, I assume, didn't have the retail arm, so that's why they wanted the retail reach.
That was their last piece. Yes, they needed the retail reach. They had the wholesale reach. They had the refinery reach. They had all the other aspects of the vertically integrated, with the exception of the retail piece. So now that they've got the retail piece, and to your point earlier, Jeff, about the consolidation within the market, you have A-Mark that's acquiring certain businesses, and now we've got PAMP over here that acquired us at APMEX. We might not be done. There might be some acquisitions that PAMP and APMEX may be interested in the next 6 to 12 months or 18 months. The consolidation may continue.
I think it will. I mean, Gracie bought Whitman, so now, well, it's, even it even happens in the book business. So it is amazing. I keep hearing more and more about how that's affecting everything. And some of it's positive. If some of these companies, if it depends if it's leveraged or not, they to try to cut expenses. So coin business is no different than any other major company. So we'll be interesting to keep an eye on, see how the pros and cons of the whole consolidation, how that rolls for everybody.
Yep. Yep, for sure.
So you mentioned your numismatic staff. How big is APMEX? You said 15 for numismatics, but how many employees does APMEX have?
Right now, we're employing somewhere between 325 and 350 people. A lot of them are operations folks. We really take pride in making sure that the quality of the coin that you're getting is top notch. It goes through, 3 or 4 people before it ending up at your door. We have about 10 to 15 people, I would say, in our receiving department. We've got about 20 to 25 people in our quality control department. We've got probably 50 to 60 people in our picking department who all they do is just walk around the vault. Our vault is sort of set up like a Home Depot, where instead of there being nuts and screws and bolts and stuff like that through the aisles, you have all these rare gold coins and silver coins and everything. You get desensitized pretty quickly, but it's literally floor to ceiling. It looks just like a Home Depot.
I grew up in the world of small coin shops. I started in a literal hole in the wall coin shop with one guy. How the business has grown in the last 20 years, now it's basically institutionalized. A lot of people don't understand. I remember I visited you guys and we did a big silver deal about 10 years ago or so, and how granular your company. John, they have 1 or 2 people that go through 90% silver looking for better dates that people sell as bullion. I mean, it's like that's their full-time job.
Within the last 2 years,
cool.
we've found 5 dateless 1916 standing Liberty quarters. We stuff all the time, and we know what to look for. We've got 2 people training right now, right outside the room, that are learning how to be more efficient and how to be better numismatists.
Yeah.
Are you using any kind of AI? I mean, I hate to use AI for everything, but is there some kind of system where you could scan, like scan coins as they go down a conveyor belt and spot, 1916 quarters versus, 1918s or something?
I wish we, unfortunately not. We kind of do it the old fashioned way where we kind of just separate the dates that we know or might have something better. And then we'll just have one of our guys go through it and make sure that there is nothing better in there. But the black, yeah. The one time you have to wash your hands before you go to the bathroom.
Right.
That's awesome. So people who buy dateless 1916 quarters or every kind of standing Liberty quarter for that matter, they're collecting, shifting a little to the Red Book podcast or Red Booky kind of conversation for a second. What are they, album collectors? Are they that kind of a candidate? Are they using folders? How does this person collect?
This person primarily collects through folders and Whitman albums and filling in the holes. I think a 1916 quarter, obviously it's the key date to the entire series.
Right.
As long as you know that it's genuine, you can put it in your album or you can, get it slabbed by PCGS NGC just for the peace of mind. But I think the majority of people want it in their album, their trifold Whitman album, Whitman, deluxe album or whatever it is. I think that's ultimately where people want it if you're collecting.
It's still magic. I mean, people hate holes in their albums, so they'll try for a while, but they still want to fill that 16 quarter or the 16D dime. And,
I'm a collector at heart, Jeff, as you know. I mean, we've known each other for a long time. You know how long I've been collecting, 27, 28 years I've been collecting. And it still irks me to have a hole in my personal collection, if I know I have a hole there, I know I have to fill it,
I think this is a big role of the hobby in terms of that's the one problematic item about slabbing coins since 1986. It doesn't have the hole in the album effect. All right, a space in the box, yes, but not the hole in the album. I love that collectors really obsess about that. Stamp collectors, it's the same way. You have the page, you got to fill the page. And it's just incredible that you supply that because that's I hope APMEX stays dedicated to that collector race because that's really where we live.
Are we getting even more dedicated to the physical, Whitman albums like the deluxe Whitman album or the trifold Whitman album, whatever you start off with. But I don't know if I should say this or not, but we're in development of creating sort of a virtual coin album. If you have an account with APMEX, you can click on My Collection or something like that in the top right corner whenever this does become available. And it'll take you to a virtual album, and every single coin that you've either bought from us or bought from somewhere else, if you want to take a picture of it, a snap of it yourself on your phone and import it into our system, then that'd be fine as well. But it'll have a picture of the coin, it'll have the date, it'll have the mintage, it'll have any information about that particular date or any particular information about that series, all right there at your fingertips. I just hit My Collection on APMEX. We're actually in development stages of that right now, and so you will actually see these holes on your screen of the coins that are missing either a picture. You don't have the picture in there yet. Maybe you have the coin, but you haven't put the picture in there yet. But you will see these holes that will irk collectors. That will be like, oh, my hole on the now.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's great. And I think that, that there's a way then, of course, also to share. I don't know what your tools are going to be like. I've been thinking about what I call collection management for a long time. And we even have ideas in that department. But, the idea then of being social. Here's my barber quarter set in VF. What's your opinion of this sort of thing? I mean, I see there's threads like this on Reddit all the time where collectors are really genuinely sharing information and I think inspiring each other and learning at the same time. It's fantastic. And it's amazing that we lag as an industry. That PCGS had a virtual album and I liked it. It was a registry, but it was always sort of hard to find it.
Yes.
And underplayed, I think.
Well, that's the thing, is that's the concept that we're kind of going after. I think you hit the nail on the head, is that this community is a very cool community. People like to share information about this community. I mean, we have people, including Jeff Garrett himself, that are dedicating his own time, 2 weeks a year out in June at the summer seminar to teach, anybody and everybody that wants to come by and learn about coins. I mean, how many other communities do that? I don't know how many other communities actually fly their people out there and they're dedicating their time, they're donating their time, they're not getting paid to do this, to teach about the hobby. It's a very small community, but it's a very tight-knit community, and we want to learn about our craft.
Yeah, I think the social parts also really helped. That's one of the reasons I like going out to the summer seminar and teaching, is seeing the young people. I think we have more young people that have kind of gotten into the hobby in the last 5 years than I've seen in my previous 40 or 50 years at one time. I assume social media is probably the driver of that, but some brilliant kids. I mean, now, the biggest thing is now I don't really worry about it because I'm at a point in my career I don't care, but you can teach these kids in the next coin show is, they're running around like you better be a step ahead of them. So, because you'll get to the table and they've got all the good deals.
Yep.
So,
they have more energy than we do.
They definitely have more energy. And it's like going to the coin show like Baltimore next week. This is a good thing. This is kind of a funny, crazy thing. The show starts set up on Wednesday, and at like 4 or 5 o'clock. Shows like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. People are like, I feel pressure. If I don't get there on Monday, I've like missed out. I'm like a loser if I get there. So all these young guys running around. So a lot of more energy in the hobby than there has been, and it is exciting. We'll have that class, and I'll identify like 2 or 3 of them that are obvious geniuses, and it's kind of neat to see them under development. And I know you guys actually send a lot of your employees out there for the class.
We do. This year we're sending about 16 to 18 people out, and we've sent that many out pretty much every year since 2006, 2007. So for about 20 years we've been sending somewhere between 12 and 18 people out every single year. What's great about the summer seminar is that it teaches. If you're a beginner, you have grading 1. If you're a sort of an intermediate, you have grading 2. If you're a little bit more advanced, you have grading 3. You have counterfeit detection. You have all of these specialty classes. Say you're interested in Morgan dollars. Well, there's a class on Morgan dollars. Say you're interested in currency. There's a class in paper money currency. Say you're interested in Greek coinage. There's a class on, so there's something for everybody, and it just grows the hobby and the community, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, and your students come back and they seem like they learned a lot, right? Experience.
They come back and they want to go. They want to go back to summer seminar the week. Can we do 2 weeks in a row? And it's like, no, you got to work. You got to work.
Yeah, that's good. I'm just going to change gears again. We got $3,000 gold. That's like a big driver for the hobby. But next year is the 250th anniversary of the country, the semi-quincentennial. If you haven't gotten that off, figured that out yet, or how to say it. But are you guys excited about that? Do you think it'll have an impact on APMEX's business, or the Mint's going to make products? And things that'll be drivers for the hobby?
There definitely is going to be drivers for the hobby. I know that APMEX has a couple things up their sleeve, which I can't talk about, but I know that we're doing some things for the anniversary. But I think overall, look what 1976 did to the hobby. Granted, I think us as coin dealers are still very annoyed with people calling in saying that I have a bicentennial quarter. How much is that worth? It's 24 cents. You're going to have a number of people entering the hobby just out of curiosity's sake that we didn't have
There'll also
before.
there'll also be more holes in the albums filling
Exactly.
because there'll be every series I think is getting some new coins, so that'll be some specialty coins hopefully. And I think I think it'll raise the nostalgia awareness. I think of just even things that are older, and I've even kidded about when we had COVID that I think people got interested in history because they watched so many Netflix series about history,
Yep.
and I think things like that can make people aware about our early part of our history. So it should be a helpful.
Yep. I would
Hmm.
totally
So
agree.
it'd be good. We had a really good conversation with David Ryder about getting rid of the cent and the nickel. Do you guys at Max even think about that, or is that on your guys' radar? Or people buying like your early pennies?
Yeah, not really on the radar. It's interesting that there's a potential for the cent to go away and the nickel to go away just because the cent has been around since 1793, and it's only been not made for 1 year, which was 1815 with the counterfeit year. But aside from that, it's the most continuously minted coin in the United States. So to think that that's going away is interesting, but we haven't seen any type of rush to
Yeah,
get 2025 cents or anything like that, or any 2025
yeah,
nickels. It's just kind of business as usual.
yeah. I don't know if you know, John. Did they stop making pennies actually? Are they still? Do you have any idea what they're?
I have no idea. I don't know what the mint is taking that order. I'm just going to take a guess that they have, but they've probably already made a billion or so. The big question is, will they continue to make collector versions, maybe W mint or maybe proof only issues, satin finish? We don't know about what's going to happen at the mint in the next 12 to 24 months, on top of the fact that you have that 2026 250 year anniversary. There's lots of unknowns and hopefully a lot of potential to be exciting at the same time. But we had this conversation with Dave, and I am a big proponent of getting rid of the penny. I'm a proponent of getting rid of the nickel. And I would love to see it, the $1 coin resurrected as a circulation item, get rid of the dollar bill, maybe even get rid of the $5 bill, make a $5 coin. Because as Ryder says, seniorage is the big value there for the mint,
Right.
right? They'd make a coin that costs them 12 cents and it has a face value of $5. That's called profit. And while
Yeah,
they're making pennies and nickels, that for you bang your head against the wall, why they are a governmental agency that needs to make a profit. So I don't know. It seems like basic math to me.
yeah. They did
So
pretty good on the 230 gold coins they made that they sold for 40,000 a piece. They,
yeah, that are
yeah,
that are now worth, I don't know, sixty
Yeah,
thousand if
yeah.
you can find one, right? Ted, did you sell any of those in the
We
aftermarket?
did. We did.
Those flowing hair gold privy.
Those were hard to get, the gold ones, but we did really well with the
Yeah.
silver medals. But
yeah.
Hmm.
the premiums on the gold privies were just out of this world. That's kind of out of our market.
Right. But they've done quite well, and and they continue to go up in price. And my experience is that the silver privies continue to go up in value.
Yep.
So the U.S. Mint has managed to make some legitimate collector's items that the collector market has held up. A lot of times in the past, we've seen where the U.S. Mint makes a contrived value item by certain reasons, and then the market. I remember those gold Kennedy half dollars, for
It's the
example,
classic poster child.
Yep.
classic poster child of a coin that sold for too much money and nobody cared a year later, even though it should not have been the case. That's a very cool item. But what happened, I think the Mustang coin is just phenomenal, and I think Heritage sold five more last week, and they go up every time they turn around. They're up
Yep.
$500. I think there's now a $10,000 item.
And we sell high relief better than any other high relief in the entire series, bar none. It's not even a competition. Yep.
The cypress or the pine, that's also doing well in that same series.
Yep.
Those are really popular, and Ryder was involved when that Mustang coin was approved and just came out, and he had to fight for it because everybody always wants to put Liberty on a coin,
Right.
but he fought for some new design, and it was worthwhile. It's a gorgeous
It
coin
is.
where craftsmanship matters,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing that hopefully the mint will stay with is craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that coin's a good example. I have a lot of talks with, people who are like David Ryder and some of the people who are involved in it. The U.S. Mint wants to make these remakes of old designs, and if you can come up with a creative modern design, it shows you that it can be successful. The bucking bronco is a really good example of like great artistry that will carry through. I know in 26 they're going to re-release like $1804 and a few things. To me, it's kind of a shame they're not putting more of the effort just in giving modern artists a chance to put something together. But the average coin collector still likes buying the reissues of old classics. They just like classic cars, I guess. People like the classics.
It's a little too easy. I don't know how Ted feels about that, but I don't love that they keep recreating $1804 and 1790. They did it with the gold, with the Mercury dime and the standing quarter, and at first I thought that was going to be incredible, but again, really has been quiet in the marketplace. Nobody's seeking these coins.
Right.
Whereas come up with a fresh design, use Marvel characters, license out, do innovative things. We were in Berlin in January and February, and we realize how many innovative designs are out there, whether it's the Matterhorn in Switzerland coin, and it's not even 3-dimensional, it's 4-dimensional. This thing is so amazing looking. Why can't the US Mint be the leader in the world of producing coins, be also a leader in beautiful designs and things like that?
Agreed.
Yeah, as well. One thing I put on my list of things I was going to ask you about. We talked about coins maybe going away and money going away. Does APMEX take cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and things like that? Or you guys try to, dip your toes in that whole world?
We accept crypto as a form of payment, but we pretty much sell it off immediately. We're not speculating in that market. We're not trying to dabble in that market. We're not trying to make a market out of it. We'll basically accept it as a payment and then cash it in however we do it. I don't even know the process. And then we basically ship you your gold or whatever you bought from us, and that's that.
Can you hedge crypto against gold? Like instead of getting outside hedges for your gold market, maybe you just stock up on crypto against it or something. I don't know.
Completely different business right there.
Right. I don't think they correlate, do
so.
they? Do they correlate? No.
That was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you. You tell me when you buy gold, you hedge every ounce. I mean, when gold at $3,000, you guys must be getting some hellacious margin calls with, that takes a lot of capital to do that, I assume, doesn't it?
Yeah, again, that's not my part of the business, but I do know that,
Lucky you.
it's definitely not my part of the business. But, when I was in Berlin, we did have to talk. Gold does this, then we need to know how many ounces you've bought at this particular time of the day, knowing that there's this 7 to 8 hour time difference between, Berlin and Oklahoma City. So I would need to call my guys and say, hey, I bought 20 ounces of gold or 100 ounces of gold, because they do need to make those calls, and they do need to hedge that metal. Luckily, we didn't run into anything like that while we were in Berlin. The market was fairly stable for those 3 or 4 days when we were there. But we have had to do stuff like that in the past, especially with volatility. We were talking about that earlier. It's not really the price of gold or the price of silver or what it is that makes the market buzz. It's basically that volatility. It's dropping 50 cents. It's dropping $1.50. It's dropping, $30 on gold or something like that, or $50 on gold, and then all of a sudden going up, $80 the next day, and then $50 the next day after that, and then a drop. And it's all that volatility that is what's bringing all of that traffic into our website and attracting those people to,
Like I said earlier in the conversation, market movements definitely increase business doing it. We're probably running a little bit out of time now. I wanted to ask you, final thing is, tell everyone why they should be excited about going to Oklahoma City for the ANA.
Well, this is the first year that the ANA has actually brought the World's Fair money to Oklahoma City. It's a great little town. This is kind of the Old West. We have the Old Western Cowboy Hall of Fame right down the road. We've got a lot of silver dollars. This is where the birth of the West was, in Oklahoma here. We've got some good restaurants, good eats, if you're interested.
The convention center is really nice.
It's a brand new convention center. They just built it a couple of years ago. I would say like less than 2 years ago. They've got a pool on top of the Omni, the Thunder play next door. They might be participating in some preseason games or whatever. I'm not sure. We've got a little river walk. It's similar to San Antonio. It's not nearly as big as San Antonio, but it's a nice little river walk. It's going to be a little hot, probably being the 3rd week of August, but that's why I mentioned the pool, and I think we'll be inside buying coins most of the time, so I don't think we have to worry about the heat.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to going there, so
me
we'll
too.
see. And that museum you mentioned, that the Western Museum is fantastic, really great. And in the lobby, they have a big giant statue of the Into the Trail by James Earl Fraser. That's an iconic. It's worth going just to see that. It's really, really fantastic.
And if you go immediately to your left and look down the hall to your left, there's a big statue of Abraham Lincoln, also done by James Earl Fraser, and they do have a couple of his other things that are in the back that I'm trying to dig out for some VIPs that might be coming to see us here
That's
in
great.
August. So we'll see what we can
We're
do.
really awesome.
Awesome. That's a great plug for Oklahoma City.
Yep.
So on closing, I thought we'd play a little bit of a game. If you're comfortable making predictions, gold is today at 3,026 and silver is at $33.50. So my question for you is, what do you predict? You know, we're going to predict this like Final Four or something in basketball. What is your 12/31/25 prediction for gold and silver? And we're going to hold you to it. We're going to come back to this in January.
I'm going to say it's going to be 34.86 will be gold,
Okay.
and silver will be 36.26.
Okay. And I wrote my numbers down already because I don't want to be biased by yours. And that's a pretty precise number, by the way. 3486 is a. We're gonna have to now peg that at the gold close on 12/31. Okay. All right, Jeff, what's your numbers?
I think 32.50 is a round number on gold, and silver. I'm thinking a little more optimistic. I think it might have a run like $41. I think it's under. I think
Wow.
silver is underpriced compared to gold. I think it's way lagging, and I think people are going to wake up and say, "Have." And also, I think silver will just be more attractive for people because gold seems too expensive.
Yeah.
It'd be a poor man's precious metal to invest in.
Okay, so I'm going to go last, and as I promised you, I already had my numbers written down. But I'm more optimistic. I'm bullish on gold. I'm at 38.50 at the
Wow.
close of the year. I wouldn't be shocked if we were in the fours. And
I wouldn't either.
it petrifies me. It petrifies me. But I don't see anything about gold right now that makes me think it's going to go down in value. The momentum is just too good and too solid. But silver, I'm not as bullish on, and I'm at 36.50, which is really close to what you were saying, Ted.
Yeah.
I think you were 36 and a quarter. And because why? The only problem with silver, it's just so heavy. If you buy one roll of Silver Eagles,
Yeah.
and when you have a whole green monster box of them, that's a foot breaker for sure. So I like gold because it is much more portable and less heavy.
Yeah,
So that's
someone
my
came in
thing.
today and they talked about gold versus silver, and I said $1 million worth of gold is like like that. $1 million worth of silver is like I think it's 1,000 over a
Truckloads.
thousand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like your car. You put that in your trunk and try to transport it. It's no fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for playing. Well, like I said, we're gonna come back and hold you to all these numbers in January and see who was the closest.
Sounds
And
good.
the loser buys lunch.
Sounds good.
So Ted, thank you so much for joining us. You were really an incredible guest, and I got to sit back and enjoy all this. And I personally learned a lot hearing about it. And I have more questions that I think we'll have to come back to you.
Definitely.
Maybe in a month or two.
We'll definitely
But
do
thank
this
you
again.
for all your support. Thank you for being a great coin dealer and helping APMEX, because Jeff and I are very much in tune with the industry and how important it is to have great people involved to make this a great industry. So thanks again.
Yeah, well, you guys make it a great industry as well, so it's not all me. So I appreciate the compliment, though. But thank you. Yeah, for sure.
Like,